Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you guys are new. In today's video, we are going to be testing out the new palette from Nomad Cosmetics. This is the America's Park palette. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. If you notice, the light is pretty bad and I'm also facing the opposite direction from the way I usually film videos. It's because it is really late at night. It's almost 10 o'clock and I just got this palette in the mail. Took some pictures of it before I started swatching it and messing up the really pretty impressions in the palette, but I really want to try it out and I'm leaving town in a couple of days, so I wanted to go ahead and sit down and try and get this filmed. So let's just jump into it. This palette from Nomad Cosmetics retails for $39 on their site. If you sign up for their email list, you can get $5 off if it's your first purchase. So it's a pretty good deal. I think that it's really affordable for what it is actually, and I think a lot of indie brands sometimes are pretty expensive, and I actually think this is a really fair price. So this is the first time I've ever trying Nomad Cosmetics. I'm really excited to give it a shot. I mentioned Nomad Cosmetics in my Instagram story, and actually the co-founder was messaging me back, and it was just really nice. She's super sweet, and it was just nice to get to like talk to someone instead of feeling like you're just a number to them or, you know, a customer. It felt really personal and it was really nice. So this palette just really stood out to me because I've taken two 1-month-long road trips with my grandparents, and we went to all different state parks and national parks in the United States. And I really love what memories this brings back for me, because those are some of my favorite memories. So anyways, yeah, this has 15 shades. It's plastic free completely. It's got a really nice mirror here, and the packaging is just really pretty. It's got kind of what would look like sort of travel stickers. Everyone's saying that you might put on your luggage or something, but they're just really nice. I actually collect these stickers. My laptop is covered in some travel stickers from places that I have been. So yeah, I don't think, one of my favorite national parks is actually Mesa Verde. I don't think any of these are for that, but that, you know, there's so many parks, but that is one of my favorites. But anyways, this is a pretty much jewel toned rainbow palette, I would say. It's actually not usually what I go for. It's super warm tone, very earthy, which makes sense, but I have been really wanting a more warm tone palette in my collection because I don't own one, and I think this is a good way to do it. Like, it's kind of, it's, you know, it's got the warm tones that I'm looking for, but it also has a lot of other things as well. So yeah, I think that's enough about the specs of this palette. I'm going to be using my Spectrum X KJH Katie Jane Hughes brushes. I just washed them last night, so they're ready to go. And I'm also going to be priming the eyes with the NARS Tinted Smudge Proof eyeshadow base, because this is what I always use, so I want to use the new eyeshadow with what I'm used to. So this is going to be the first time using any of these shadows on my eyes. I swatched them earlier just for some pictures for my Instagram. And I did take a video with the flash on so you guys could really see how the shimmers look. I will put that in now while I'm blending this out. But again, this is the first time using this brand and this palette, so I'm super excited to try this out. It's swatched really nice. I don't like things to swatch, you know, overly pigmented or anything. That's not really something that I think is super important. I just like to see the colors, but it's really the most important how they look on the eyes. And like I mentioned, it's pretty late, so I'm not going to be, you know, trying to make the most dramatic look because I don't want to be up 4 hours and I have a lot to do. I need to pack actually for my trip. I have not done that yet. So, and when I look at it, I'm honestly leaning towards this shade here, the blue, and then the yellows and greens. My comfort zone lies here with like the more neutrally and blue and purple tones. I'm kind of thinking I want to do something pretty warm toned because that is the majority of this palette. So I'm just going to jump into the matte yellow shade, which is Old Faithful. This palette is super pretty, and the impressions in the actual shades are really nice. Like, they put so much attention to detail into this. If you guys have these brushes, I'm using the number 19 brush, but it's just a little, what I would consider like a crease brush. I mentioned earlier that Felicia, one of the co-founders, was messaging me on my Instagram, and she was telling me about the formula, and she suggested that you tap off your brush after you dip into a matte shade because they made the shades to be really blendable, so they're slightly softer, and she did warn me that they might have some kickback in the pan, which if they have kickback in the pan, I'm really not worried about that, unless we're talking about like the ColourPop ones, because I don't think that that adds value. But if something's softer to be more blendable, then I don't really mind if it does have a little bit of kick up or kick back, whatever you want to call it. I was thinking about dipping into the greens, but I honestly think I'm just going to stay kind of in these here. Maybe a little bit of the darker browns. I think I'm going to go like full on warm color, and I might do like a green lower lash line, I'm thinking. Yeah, I think that'll be good. So I'm going to take the number 11 brush. It's a slightly bigger fluffy crease brush. And I'm going to go into Giant Redwoods here. I'm going to tap off between every matte shade, so I'm not going to keep saying that. I'm just going to put this on the outer part of the crease and kind of blend it in. I'm going to use this same number 11 brush and go back into Old Faithful and kind of blend the two together. I'm just going to use a clean brush with nothing on it and kind of run over both of them. Alright, and then with a much more dense brush, this is the number 13 brush, I'm going to go back into Giant Redwoods. I'm not actually noticing a lot of kickback in the pan. Hopefully you're able to kind of see this. But it's really not bad. And it is pretty blendable, but I'm going to pack this on the outer part of my lid as well as the inner part. I think I'm going to do like a halo eye. Alright, I'm going to use the number 17 brush and I'm going to go into Half Dome here. That one did have a lot of kickback just by barely touching it. So I'm going to make sure to tap my brush off. That one does have kind of a lot, so I'm just going to be more careful with it. But I'm just going to deepen up the edges here as well. This is a really pretty brown color. It's like very neutral, which I really like. It's not too like grungy or cool toned. And it's also not red at all. Like it's just a very neutral brown. So far, these are blending really well. And I'm so happy that I got this palette. Something really cool about going on a road trip in the US is that state by state, it changes so much. And so I think it's really cool to look at this palette and it almost be like a rainbow palette, because you can literally drive around and see all of these different colors, which is just like really one of the best parts. Like you can drive through some states and it's just like flat terrain. There's not a lot to look at. It's very like desert looking. And then you go a couple states over and there's tons of mountains and beautiful skies and sunsets and beaches. And I mean, there's just so much. So I think it's really cool. And I do think that they captured these parks really well within this palette. So I'm really excited about this. It's really cool how some of these colors, these really bright colors, can show up in nature. It's just, I don't know, I think it's really awesome. Pictures don't really do it justice, so it's really cool to see this as a pigment and eyeshadow. I keep getting my road trip memories coming up because I went on both of them, you know, in the summer. So they keep coming up on my Facebook, like memories, and just makes me very reminiscent. And this palette came out around the same time of the months when I did my road trips, so it's really fun. I'm going to go back in with the number 11 brush. This was kind of the larger one, and I'm going to pick up slightly more Old Faithful, which was the yellow shade, and I'm just going to blend the brown into that. I really love that brown shade. I usually don't get excited about just like a deep brown eyeshadow, but this one's really nice. And I'm going to go back into the number 13 brush on that Giant Redwoods, which was kind of like the orangish red shade here, and kind of build that up a little bit more by the brown. So far, the brown's the only one where I really felt like I needed to tap my brush off. But I've been trying to get in the habit of doing my eyes first anyway, so it shouldn't matter. Alright, first things for shimmers, I'm going to go in with Teton Range on my ring finger. And I'm going to put this where those brown bits were, on the very inner and outer corners. Usually for a halo eye, I would only use a shimmer on the very center, but I want to use as many of these as I can. This kind of reminds me, I think the shade's called Tiger's Eye in the So Jaded palette from Kathleen Lights and ColourPop. Next up, I'm going to go in with the Narrows. And I'm going to put this where that kind of reddish orange shade was. This one has less of a pigmented base to it. It's just way more glittery. I'm going to try and pack this shade on with the number 15 brush. It's just like a flat shader brush. I'm actually going to just continue this in the middle, and then I'll just put the other shade on top of this one. I'm going to use that number 11 brush again and just blend the top of it, make sure I don't have any glitter in the crease. I'm trying to decide here between Mammoth Cave and Delicate Arch for the center, but I'm thinking Mammoth Cave since it is a lot lighter. Yeah, let's do that one. I'm going to put that right in the center. I do want to use as many shades as I can, so I'm going to go actually into Delicate Arch as well. And just put that kind of on top of where I put the reddish orange shade, the Narrows. You can tell there's a lot of different formulas within this palette, which is nice, especially since this is the first one that I'm trying. And then one last time I'm going to go in with Mammoth Cave, and I do think I'm going to try and use a little bit of setting spray. I have this one from ColourPop, and I'm just going to wet that shade on my finger and try it like that in the center of the lid just to see if it adds anything. And then lastly, I'm just going to build up the dark brown shade again, Half Dome. The shimmers kind of made it a lot lighter, but I do want to deepen up the inner and outer corners again with that. And I'm going to go back in with a little bit of Teton Range, which was the shimmer that I used on top of that. Just a little bit to kind of help blend it again. I'm going to use a makeup wipe and just clean out the fallout. I do have a little bit, hopefully you guys can see, but that's why I did the eyes first. And if you use like a glitter primer, it'd probably help with that too, but I just wanted to see how they performed on their own. I'm going to go ahead and do my face makeup off camera, and then we'll finish up the eyes together. But so far I'm really liking it. I do think I'll do like a pop of green or something on the lower lash line because there's still quite a few shades that I haven't been able to use, but I have used a lot of them so far, so I'm happy with that. But I'll be right back. Alright, I got the rest of my face makeup done, and I also did the lips. I'm not so sure about the lips yet. This was that combo. You'll see it in a upcoming video. I think it might actually have gone up right before this one, but it was the NYX lipstick in Cersei. I don't know. I think it might be too much like warm tone for me because I'm usually more of a cool tone kind of person. But really quickly, I used my ColourPop Pretty Fresh primer and foundation. I used the NARS Creamy Radiant Concealer and the number 7 pressed powder. I used my Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow Duo. I used the bronzer and the highlight. From Etude House, I used their Lovely Cookie Blusher. This is in the shade Ginger Honey Cookie. And my lips is the KKW Beauty Lip Liner in Nude 1 and then the NYX lipstick in Cersei. I'm going to go ahead and finish up the eyes and see how I feel about the lip combo. The brows is what I always use, the Milani Weekend Brow and the Essence Clear Brow Gel. So let's just go ahead and do the lower lash line with the brush that I used with Old Faithful, which was the yellow shade. I'm going to take like the tiniest little bit of that and I'm going to run that under the lower lash line. I'm going to drag this one down kind of far because I want this to help blend everything together. Next up, I'm going to go into Everglades, which is kind of the lime green. This one has a little bit of kick up as well. Not as much as the brown shade, but I'm going to use that same brush. I'm going to pinch it and drag this in the lower lash line. Next up, I'm going to take the number 18 brush into the shade here, which is Ha Rainforest. I don't know how you say that. I'm just going to stamp this along the lower lash line. With the same brush, I'm going to go into Acadia Lighthouse. I just really want to use this blue shade. I'm going to stamp this, I think, on, I don't know, kind of just like this section right here. I don't know how much it's going to really add. Might cover all the green with it as well. Kind of make it like a blue-green. My eyes are looking more blue than green today, so I might as well throw some blue on there. Lastly, I'm going to go into Blue Ridge Parkway here, the matte green, just on the outer edge. I I think I'm gonna bring that on the inner edge too. I might regret this. I'm gonna stamp a little bit more of that green shade here on top of that inner edge, so that's slightly deeper but not as drastic. Okay, and then for the inner corner highlight, I'm going to use this one here. I think this is a duochrome. This is Cuyahoga Valley. I don't remember what park is that at. I've never heard of a couple of these places. I definitely need to look them up. This is not doesn't have like a super pigmented base to it. I might add a little bit of Old Faithful here and then kind of stack the two. Not sure. Kind of liked the matte yellow on its own, but that's okay. I'm going to stack that duochrome. It's kind of like a yellow duochrome pink. This is causing a little bit of fallout though. I'm just going to use my powder brush to kind of wipe away that fallout. I'm going to use this eyeliner in the waterline. This is the NYX eyeliner in Gilded Taupe. And then I'm going to use my mascara. This is the NYX On The Rise mascara. And I'm just going to put on about 2 to 3 coats on the top lashes and 1 on the bottom. And I'll be right back. Alright guys, here's the final look. I really like it. I think it looks so much better now that I have mascara on. My face makeup looks a little bit washed out and kind of one-dimensional because of the lighting. There's no sunlight and it's the best it's gonna get. Okay, I don't have super good equipment, but this palette is really, really nice. I think that it got me out of my comfort zone. I did actually use almost all of the shades. I used every shade except for this one, these 3 here. I think I used all of the other shades. So I'm happy with that. I think I got a good amount of use out of it. Typically I wouldn't use that many shades for one look, but I wanted to test it out, okay? So sorry about the lighting. It's a little bit crazy, but yeah, I really like this look. It's super grungy, but I think it's really pretty. Unfortunately, I'm about to have to wash it off and just pack and then go to bed. But yeah, overall, final thoughts. I think this is a really great palette. The palette itself is just gorgeous to look at. It brings back really good memories for me, but the formula also is awesome. Yeah, I think that everything is pretty blendable. I also think it's really unique. Like, it's a rainbow palette, okay? And the only thing I think it kind of reminds me of is the Raw Beauty Christie palette, but this has way more shimmers, and I just like the formula way better than what I would like at ColourPop usually. So yeah, I'm super pumped about this. I really, really like it, and I'm excited to use it. I might take it on my trip with me, even though I wasn't going to take any like large palettes. I was just going to take a quad. I just want to use this more. It really just makes me so happy. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. I don't know what else I can say. I think it's a really great value at $39, but you can use a discount code. A lot of people have like 10% off discount codes too. So look up other videos on this. I don't have one, sorry, but there's tons of people that do. So just look those up. Or if you've never purchased from them before, sign up for their newsletter and you can get $5 off your first order, which is more than 10%. So it will save you a little bit of extra money. But I definitely recommend this palette to you guys. I think it's a really great option if you're wanting something a little bit more like grungy or warm tone, or a kind of more like jewel toned rainbow palette, I would say. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. But alright guys, that's going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. I'm so excited about this video, and I'm excited to get it edited and posted for you guys to see, because this is a newer palette and I'm really excited about it. So I hope you guys are too. Let me know down below if there's anything else you want to see from my channel. I would love to know. And with that being said, that's it for me today. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!